Hello, this is Mike at GameFromScratch, and welcome to This Week in Game Dev, a quick recap of the news and events in the world of game development across the board. If it happened in the world of game dev and it's interesting to you, hopefully I covered it here this week. So this is for the week ending June the 12th, 2016. And let's jump right in. Now, as always, I will have a link down below that will link to all of the stories I mentioned today. So if you want more details, be sure to check that out. Now, to start things off, LWGJL 3.0.0 was released. This has been a couple of years in development, 3 years in fact, and LWGJL stands for Lightweight Java Game Library, and more or less it's a binding or a wrapper around a bunch of other technologies such as OpenGL, OpenAL, etc. One of the major things added in this particular release is support for Vulkan. The new version of OpenGL going forward. At the end of the day, that doesn't mean a lot to end users if we're honest. Vulkan support is actually no faster as of yet, but it is the future. So adding Vulkan support is obviously a big deal. Now there's a number of other new additions and improvements, mostly at the very specific level. They also moved to Java 8 as a requirement, I believe. Yeah, so LWJGL now requires Java 8 to build and run. So if you're on Java 7 or Java 6, be aware of that one. And that's actually kind of annoying because a lot of people do actually stick with Java 7. Another big thing this week, well, this one is a follow-up from last week. Now, last week's news, you might recall I mentioned that Unity changed their pricing structure. And frankly, this has pissed a lot of people off, to put it as bluntly as possible. And for a lot of people, it actually worked out well. But for others, people that bought their software outright, the kind of people that paid $1,500 and then just used it until the version ran out, well, these people just got screwed massively. This is a 2 to 3 times price increase. And basically, Unity just came forward to try and address why they're doing all this. And if I'm honest, it's not really an answer people are going to like. And on top of that, they announced pay to own, which basically says after 24 months of subscription, you own the software for that version, at least until some arbitrary date. In this case, March the 17th comes along, and then it's considered the next version. So Unity is not going to have, you're not going to buy Unity 6 and then Unity 7, etc. It's just going to be time limited going forward. And this pay to own sounds kind of nice at first. So once you've been leasing it or you're paying for it for 2 years, you own it outright. But when you start doing the math on that, yeah, this is just basically called a price increase. So there's been a lot of fallout in the Unity community. They tried to address it, and they addressed it very poorly, in my opinion. But if you come in and see the story, you can see the full extent of what Unity actually said in this blog post. It was their CTO that came out and made this posting. Another major announcement this week, or another announcement I suppose we should call it, is V8 JavaScript engine version 5.2 was released. The truth of the matter is there's not a whole lot in there. There's support for the newest version of ECMA script 6 and 7, so those are new versions of JavaScript that are down the road. Some performance improvements, etc. Now, if you've never heard of it, V8 is the embedded version of JavaScript. They're basically out of the Chromium project, so it's the Java VM that Chrome uses, but it's also been spun off and used in a number of game engines. It powers the Node JavaScript framework, etc. So V8 is a very important piece of plumbing that you may not be aware of, but if you use JavaScript as your programming language, you're probably using Node without knowing it. Or in Chromium or Chrome browser, that's the virtual machine that's actually powering the JavaScript code. Now we start getting into VR announcements, and this is just an announcement, nothing new yet, but basically Amazon came out and said Lumberyard 1.3 is going to support VR. Now they said they're going to support it via gems, which is their word for plugins. So you're going to be able to, if you implement their interface, so HMV device, I believe is the interface you need to implement, you can add VR support for any device you've got out there. So they never actually said which devices are going to get support out of the box in 1.3, but VR is definitely coming. Another part of this release is actually going to be developing in VR. So you're basically going to be able to use the editor in VR mode. And this is a preview only feature, but basically you're going to be able to edit and modify your game worlds using a VR headset. I think it's going to be Vive and Rift support off the hop, but I am not 100% positive there. Now, this is very, very similar to what Unreal Engine is doing with it. I don't know if it's a gimmick or not. I'm a laptop guy, so I'm disconnected from the world of VR, sadly enough. Speaking of Unreal Engine, there was actually a pair of releases this week. They just released 4.12 last week, and quick on the heels of that, they actually released 4.1 HOTFIX. Fixed a number of problems with the 4.12 release, nothing really that special. But then a day later, they released another hotfix, the 4.12.2 hotfix, which again released a number of fixes. It was probably this one that's the biggie. So basically, it was crashing while compiling blueprints in the dependency node thing. Now, one of the really cool things they added with 4.12 in preview form is the ability to compile blueprints to C++ code. So it sounds like there might be a little bit of issues in there. Very strange for them to do 2 releases like within a day of each other, especially like 4 or 5 days after they released a major version. But it's nice to see that level of responsiveness. Now, on the topic of VR, Valve released the Destination Workshop VR tools. These are available on Steam, completely free, so head on over there and you can download it. Basically, any device that uses the OpenVR framework can use it. And it's basically a world builder built on the Source 2 game engine tool sets. Again, it's available for completely free, so you can basically go in VR and create worlds using it. I don't know what the end game on this one. If you're interested, you can go into the Destinations wiki, which is available here, and get a little bit more information on how you go about creating a destination. But basically, this sounds like the Source Engine 2's World Builders VR mode, essentially. I haven't checked it out. I don't have a compatible OpenVR headset, and that is what the ultimate support requirement is. Now, coincidentally, HTC Vive supports OpenVR, but I believe AMD's in development headset is going to be OpenVR, and a couple of others are as well. So OpenVR is supposed to be an open standard for implementing VR, and HTC Vive implemented it, but there could be others down the road, or there will be others down the road, and that is what's required to use the destinations in VR mode anyways. And the final news this week, and this is going to sound minor, but it's actually more major than it looks because there's a lot going on here, is Phaser 2.4.9 release candidate 4 was released. Now, Phaser is a great HTML5 game engine. I love it. You definitely should check it out. I've done a full tutorial series on using it with TypeScript on GameFromScratch. I've also done a couple of videos on creating a complete game using Phaser on my YouTube channel. It's one of those things I recommend you check out if you want to work in HTML5. Now, the big thing with Phaser is it's about to be deprecated. So it's going into maintenance only, I think with version 2.5. That's why each one of these releases is more and more important, but they added a ton in this release. As you can see, these are the release notes. So yeah, it's a big release. And now a lot of it's fairly small, or just, small API changes, but there's a lot of them. So, as Phaser is coming to its end of life, and don't take that as a negative, Phaser is not going away. It's just active development is switching to Laser, which is basically Phaser 3. So Phaser 2.x is coming to an end. I believe this is the second from last release candidate. It might be the last release candidate, but there's a whole lot in there. And basically that is it for the week. Now, if you enjoyed this, I do one every week, so I encourage you to please click like and consider subscribing. You'll find this kind of content and a hell of a lot more all about game development. So I hope you enjoyed that. See y'all later. Bye.